He's half man, half machine, but he's also half great person and great character. It's the General, James Ironwood. And in the other corner, running on 20 cylinders of villainous competence, it's the Dr. Arthur Watts. Girls and boys, ladies and gentlemen, and huntsmen of all kinds, this is Atlas Bowl. I'm your presenter, Awesome Jelo, and in the booth, I have these three with me.
Whiskey.
Wolf.
Oh.
Oh yeah, you are first. I just realized. Go for it.
I'm Whiskey. Help. I've been conscripted.
I'm Wolf.
This is
I'm Tedder Alive too, and it is time for the calamity in the Amity.
Thank you, Ted. The rest of you need to get those levels up. This is a hype episode. We all know that.
I'm here against my will. I'm not hype at all. And Ted, how long were you holding on to that one?
Actually, just looked up a rhyming dictionary for it.
Excellent.
We come prepared.
Okay, let's get into it. Now, I know you were probably gonna hate me by doing this one first, but since it's kind of disconnected to everyone else, let's just start with Tyrion getting his ass handed to him.
It's pretty impressive that he held out as well as he did against 3 professional huntsmen, but yeah, this was only ever going to go one way.
Yeah. I guess. I mean, I think a lot of it is... in episode 10, we thought the whole thing with Watts and Tyrion, they were going to be the end game of this volume. But no! So, no, it was pretty good. They got that wrapped up pretty quick and pretty reasonably.
The fight got overshadowed by Atlas Bowl, but it was still a pretty good fight.
Mm-hmm. I like how Crow is kind of incorporating more just punches into his combat, which makes sense because Harbinger is such a fucking huge weapon. If he needs to be faster against, Tyrion, who is fast, that's the only way that he's gonna touch him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it follows anime rules. The sword could end the fight if it hit, so it can't hit until the end of the fight. But if you just punch people, you're allowed to actually hit them.
Mm-hmm.
Whiskey, your thoughts?
Right, no, we're already way past that point, but I would have been very, very upset if Tyrion had won that fight.
Oh, yeah, that's...
Honestly, though, I kind of think Tyrion's overconfidence killed him there, or just, Tyrion's just so far gone mentally that, catching a bolt in his mouth from a crossbow or whatever the hell Robin has on her wrists, he thought was a good idea.
Yeah, I think a lot of what he does is he also has this kind of fear factor to him.
Intimidation.
That's the flair of his character, though. It's
Right.
just I can't tell if he has these moments of perfect sanity, and then he has these moments where he's just completely unhinged. And I can't remember, I believe it was volume 4 or 5, one of the two. It's early in the morning and I haven't had my third cup of coffee yet, but when he went off on those Grimm in Salem's Tower or Castle, just tears going down his face, but he was laughing and screaming like he was having fun. It was just, he's just so unhinged, and that's what makes him creepy. But at the same time, like I said, he has those moments of clarity.
Right,
So
in volume
you
6.
could tell, yeah, because he was there in episode 6, this volume.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a spooky character. I really, really like Tyrion.
Personally, I think he's not quite done with this volume, but I think that's better to talk about further down the line. Do we have anything more on this, or do we want to get into the meat?
I enjoyed this fight. I think it's definitely kind of the smaller set piece fight. Like the big set piece fight is Ironwood versus Watts, obviously, right? But I mean, for a small side thing that ends fairly quickly and doesn't overstay its welcome. I feel that this was done exceptionally well, shot well, and all of that, and all the characters involved, kind of played their part, right?
Mhm.
And you can
It
kind of
was.
see how each character played to their strengths a bit, right? Because Robin very much, firing all of those bolts, and then all of a sudden she fires a bolt that, uses fire dust, right? Like, you could see the deception there from her character being kind of that tricky, more, I don't want to say mischievous, but definitely, again, more kind of a trickster character, right? Kind of
Yeah,
in
like
line with Robin
a
Hood.
rogue. Is that what you're
Yeah,
looking for?
Rogue, Robin. As her inspiration itself, Robin Hood being that more tricky persona, stuff like that, doing kind of underhanded little tricks like that. That was good. Again, it played to
Yeah.
everyone, and it definitely kind of gives off this feeling that we're not done with Tyrion, even in this particular volume, right? But
Right.
moving right along.
Yes, let's get into what is right now the fight of the volume. I hope in 45 minutes when it releases, it gets topped, but at the moment,
Not
this is
supposed to
beautiful.
date the video.
Hush.
Date whoever I want to date.
It can be edited in post really quick.
Mhm.
You assume I'm going to do editing. Ha 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 ha.
Whatever. So, Watts versus Ironwood. This was great. I was surprised at Ironwood having this gravity pistol that lets him get around.
Don't know what
But
that one's called. The other one is called Due Process, but we don't know what his gravity pistol is named.
I don't know. It seems like it's kind of gone now though.
Did he drop it at some point? I didn't see that.
Watts shot it out of his hand. Watts shot one of his
Yeah.
guns out of his hand. I think it was
Okay.
the gravity pistol one.
Mhm. Yeah, the gravity pistol one was darker, and Due Process it's lighter, and we know he has that one still. But yeah, this fight was simply phenomenal. The use of different environment, or I guess the same environment from Watts in just a really clever way, and how it's all a gunfight for the most part instead of the usual melee is a really fresh change. The way they did that,
I
and
like
also go ahead.
I was going to say, I like how they did a good job of portraying Ironwood as the more skilled fighter, the stronger, more physically capable fighter. But Watts was better prepared. He had set the stage so well that he was able to hold his own.
I
I'm
mean,
not
Watts
sure
even
about.
said it himself there, that Ironwood's brawn had outdone his brain.
Matched.
So, yeah, matched. Sorry.
Right. The other thing that I really liked that with this is we got a song that I think
Yeah.
a lot of people have been a little not too impressed with all the songs we've got until this one, Hero.
Mm-hmm.
And this really defined Ironwood for this episode. Like, it's all about, like, I would sacrifice anything. I'll do whatever it takes to be the hero, to save the day. And at the moment, that sounds pretty good when he's, ripping his arm out of some hard light dust. But a little later, you start to worry about what that actually means.
Props to
Right.
them though, right? And how they brought the song in, where you just have those drums and that guitar, and it's just that really heavy metal. All of a sudden, then
Yeah, that's
he gets hit by the water spout, silence, and then you hit in with the lyrics. Really well done on their part with that. Great timing.
yeah, that was Jeff, and Jeff was doing all the music as usual, but this
I think it
was
was
Caleb
Caleb singing.
Hayes.
Yeah,
Caleb Hayes, yeah, with the vocals this time.
He does
really
pretty
well
well.
done.
It really fits Ironwood.
Yeah, it kind of shocked me because I didn't recognize the vocals. It was Caleb hasn't done anything for RWBY officially before, to my
No.
knowledge.
But he did exceptionally well here.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it was
yeah.
really good too.
Something I'll point out with this fight, as far as we can tell, no semblance usage in this one.
Yeah, that was
No.
slightly disappointing. I would have liked to see both of their semblances.
So I like a lot of people. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
Wolf,
no, go
'cause
ahead. I'll wait.
Okay. So a lot of people like to get worked up about semblances and stuff, but and I like the idea of your own personal magic superpower, but at the same time, just seeing these guys, the two of them, go at it without any of that fancy external factor I
They
think
don't need it.
really, yeah, they don't need it. It just displays their prowess as fighters, as intellectuals, in Watts' case. And like,
Yeah.
I think even with a semblance, Watts would be, he'd have a lot more going for him at that point, especially with those fancy rings of his that.
Mhm. A thought crossed my mind that Watts' semblance might be related to technology in those rings, but
Some people had
that's
speculated technomancy or whatever the term is, but I don't see that being a thing because
Considering that he needed the rings in order to do this.
yeah,
So now, logically, waving some rings around is not going to give you the level of precision that you would need to hack Amity Arena.
yeah. I
But
think it would be some kind of
if
ability
if
to
the rings were a
interface.
focus, that'd be different. But we've never seen someone need a focus before,
right,
So
Adam,
so
there's his sword.
that's true.
He
There's Adam's
focuses
sword.
Moonslice through that.
oh, all
So
right.
I
Now
think
let's.
that would probably be a big assumption to say that the rings are like channeling his semblance or anything. I think it's just operating on Watch Dogs logic, where yeah, you can totally hack a streetlight in half a second with your smartphone.
mhm. But yeah, you
Watch
kind of hit
Dogs.
the nail on the head for similar what I was going to say, Whiskey. As to, I was going to bring up the idea that I'm not too disappointed by that because I think it is kind of the show doing something that they've done a little bit of before, which is kind of showing those more experienced and more veteran combatants and fighters fighting without the use of their semblances as much, right? Because they've learned and understood that semblance is a tool, and like Maria said, and that it's something that it's useful but not something you should become overly reliant on, and it kind of shows the potential difference in experience and level between, say, our kids like Ruby and again, our more veteran fighters like, say, Ironwood, right? And the
Yeah.
fact that
So
they
adding
don't
on
need
to
that.
that, I'm gonna go ahead and open up a can of worms. The Yang Adam fight at the end of V6 is a pretty good portrayal of this too.
Mm.
So we
Ah,
saw we saw in actually I want to hear what that was about, Jello.
oh, sorry. It's
Before I even go any further, what was that?
just I know what you're probably gonna say.
All right. Um. Uh. Anyway, Adam's wasted potential. What? Nope. Shh. Okay. No. So we saw in Volume 4, before Volume 4, we saw that Yang was heavily brawn over brain. She relied a ton on her semblance, and then her dad knocked her on her ass, literally, and beat some sense into her. Um, and we never saw her use her semblance again until that Adam fight. Whereas, anytime we've seen Adam fight, he's constantly using his semblance.
Mhm.
So that's that was a fight of technical skill versus pure power, I think.
Yeah,
I
And
can see
it
that.
showed
yeah.
it showed a really good contrast here, but in this fight we just saw complete technical skill down to the point of them
Gun
counting
jumping.
bullets and gun jumping, which is something we have not seen in a while. And the counting bullets part was definitely really good too, in my opinion, because that's not.
What's the only gun that runs out of ammo on Remnant?
I think it's possible that Ironwoods did too. He
Yeah, he
just
did.
wasn't
Oh,
counting the bullets.
Yeah,
No, you,
no,
you
they
saw
were
it
both
him.
counting
actually did.
bullets. They were both counting each other's bullets.
Well, you
No,
did see Ironwood when they're on the center ring check his gun and
yeah, that's what I was
close
gonna
the
say.
cylinder back and switch to using it as a club at that point.
Mhm. Well,
So
it's just
about
a
that
little bit.
semblance thing, I was just gonna say that they are all tools, and every tool needs
Mhm.
to be used differently. So someone like Weiss can integrate her semblance into just about anything she
Well,
does, whereas with Yang, it really can be dangerous to rely on it. If we don't know what Ironwood and Watts' semblances are, then we don't know, how they could have used them.
Yeah, again, I think that's perfectly fair from our perspective, right? But I do kind of enjoy the idea of veteran combatants just not needing it, and kind of
Oh yeah,
using it
definitely.
to show that level of inexperience versus experience in a way.
No, and definitely there is a certain flair, a certain charm about that kind of fight
Mhm.
that I really did appreciate there. So it was one of the more. It was a flashy fight, but at the same time, it wasn't a flashy fight.
That makes sense. So we touched on it a little bit earlier, but how about we talk a little bit about just how this fight ended with Watts trapping Ironwood in that hard light.
And then Ironwood just rips his arm straight out, ends up with a Izuku Midoriya arm, if you're a My Hero Academia fan.
Can we
Mhm.
can we talk about my meme? Oh no, let's not do that. God, that took me too long to make. That was a really strong symbolic moment, not only in reference to the song of Ironwood, because right before Ironwood, degloves himself.
God, I hate that word. I knew someone was gonna fucking use it.
I said it now. I just said it because I knew I'd get a reaction out of you. That's why I was the
I
first to
hate that
use it.
word because I know what degloving looks like, and ugh,
Anyway,
ugh.
so the way Ironwood frees himself, let's use that, shall we? Um, the way Ironwood frees himself at the risk of, losing his arm shows he's willing to sacrifice all his humanity to win the fight. And he says, I will give up whatever it takes to stop her. And then Watts, knowing Salem's true power, is like, haha, I'd like to see that. Um, but because Ironwood knows at this point, hey, I've got one arm that isn't working, one arm that's not even a real arm. Why not? He's got two metal arms now, probably.
Going
So
to, at least.
yeah, he's just like he's gonna be. I think they're trying to officially go with the 10-man theme,
Oh,
more
yes.
metal, less heart, because we saw he had a heart at the beginning. Now we're kind of drifting off from that.
Soon his
In
heart will
Especially,
Volume
grow 2
5, we saw
sizes
the.
that day.
you say again, Wolf?
In Volume
Oh, go ahead, Ted. I'll wait.
in Volume 5, we saw the lion lose his courage.
Yeah.
Now the Tin Man loses his heart. Makes me worry about Crow's brain.
Mm. Oh, this actually made me think of a really interesting thing. It was the wizard that supposedly gave all the characters their heart, brain, or courage.
Well, hang
But
on
now
now.
that the wizard, Ozpin, is gone,
All
they've
right,
all
look.
lost it.
So
Leo's
you're either
afraid.
saying that Crow's gonna end up like comatose or something? Please
No,
don't do
it
that.
could be
Yeah,
lots
no,
of
no,
things.
Crow's
Could be lots
already
of
gone
things.
through. Crow's
Why-
already gone through that. That is his drunken state. That's him losing his mind.
Was that actually confirmed? Because I know that was just speculation.
No, it wasn't confirmed. That's just Jelo saying it. But I
Yeah,
mean,
okay.
again, Crow can still lose the brain, aka die.
Hmm.
There's lots of
That's
things it could mean.
definitely a loss of brain.
I take it as very metaphorical in that
Oh,
sense.
yes.
Hey, Rooster Teeth, can we see Crow with his brains on the ground, please?
No.
Can we don't?
I do not need to see Ironwood degloving himself be any more realistic than it already was. Please and thank you.
All right. Well,
You
let
used the
let's
word.
end this
I
scene
know.
with. Yeah, let's end this scene with. Do you think Watts is still kicking or not?
They wouldn't kill him off screen. I mean, like if Ironwood dropped him, but we didn't see him fall in the lava, I could believe it. But we didn't even see Ironwood drop him. He's clearly still alive.
I don't know. I think it could be a good representation of his, of his willingness to try and lose his humanity, right? Like, that's the difference between him and Salem. Salem would have killed her enemy, no question, no thought. He wouldn't. And leaving on a black screen, right, after Ironwood asked the question earlier this volume, or, makes the statement of, maybe that's Salem's strength, her loss of humanity, the fact that she doesn't feel fear, that she doesn't hesitate. Lim leaving on a black screen definitely makes you question that, and it's a good setup. Whether Watts is dead or not, it's really good setup for that question of, did Ironwood finally forsake his humanity in that moment?
That's what I'm looking at too. I think it's very much a case of excuse me.
It's definitely very open-ended.
Right. Well,
But my
what I was
gut's
trying
leaning
to say
toward
there.
that. Oh, sorry. I thought you were done, Jello. My apologies.
Oh no, I'm just stumbling along here. What I was trying to say is the scene is very set up in a very meaningful way, and I think because of that meaning, it's safe to say he's gone. I mean, Ironwood had the means, the method, the I guess motive, all that, and I think that's enough to confirm that.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Wait,
fair.
confirm what?
That he just killed Watts there.
Yeah, no,
That's my personal
My
belief.
gut is going with that Watts is dead, but when you have those, screen fades to black moments, you can never be 100% sure until you see a body.
Oh yeah.
The trope exists
This is
for a
something.
reason.
I don't know. If they killed Watts completely off screen, like they show absolutely nothing, I'll eat a stapler.
Better be careful.
Okay,
You'll be
prepare
held
to
to
eat
that.
staplers.
Dead
Yeah,
gummit, shadow plays off. I can't clip that. Oh well, it'll be on the internet soon.
right. What I was saying is, I hate the "you don't see a body, they're not dead" argument. It's something that has been programmed into us because of other
I mean,
people
it's a trope
and
for a
pieces of.
reason, though, Jello.
But like,
Yeah.
I mean, this
I
isn't even.
understand it's for a reason, but at the
But
same
this
time,
isn't like.
don't
This isn't
don't
like.
don't hold on to it as though it is law.
But this isn't
That's
like
fair.
Adam or even like Cinder. This is we saw nothing. We saw absolutely nothing to indicate that he would be dead.
Okay.
Like I said,
let's see. His aura broke. There was a giant flaming pit.
right. How the
And
scene
there
there
was
was
one
a
time-
giant drop, and
Yeah, and there-
Ironwood was dangling him over that. I
And there
don't
was one
think
time
a normal
Ruby's aura
human
was
can do
broken
that.
and her there was a gun nearby. She's dead.
Wait, when was this?
I understand what you're saying, Ted. I'm just saying my personal belief is that he's gone. If Watts is not dead, it's explained how he survived, how Jimmy seemingly let him go or even
What do you mean
captured him.
seemingly? Oh, okay.
That then I'm fine with that. It's just until I see it, I'm going with, I guess the best word would be headcanon, that Watts is extra crispy.
I mean, again, no matter which way you look at it, whether he's alive or dead, however you wish to feel about it, I will stand by the idea that the entire point of the scene and the fade to black is to make you question, especially with what comes after this, is to make you question that idea of, has Ironwood lost his humanity? Has he given up completely on it? And, if they bring Watts back, you'll see him brought back, and that's that that one shining moment of, oh, Ironwood, there's still hope for him. He's not lost his humanity. There's still that, he's still there. That heart is still there, right? That's,
Yeah.
that's
I think
how
that's
that could be played off.
Right.
I think that's a weird way to interpret it on like 3 different levels, because one,
Well-
killing Arthur Watts of all people is not the loss of humanity. I mean, he's a criminal and a villain and tried to kill him. I mean, if he
But
killed
again, it's-
Ruby, that would be the loss of his humanity. But like Watts, whatever.
I agree with you, but again, the idea is like, to show that, that similarity between Salem, who would never hesitate to just off an enemy, right? She's been given the chance, the opportunity to off them right there. Why not? Why take the chance at leaving them alive that they'll become a problem later, right? She's not that type of person, and that's what Ironwood thinks is what allows her to win, right? So why not do something similar? I know it's kind of like, oh, loss of humanity. Watts is a criminal. He's probably hurt many people, if not killed many people, right? Who cares? But again, the idea is still there of showing humanity even to your enemies, of showing kindness and
Well, I mean,
all of that even to your
except that
enemies, etc., etc.
Ruby, like the most, the kindest, sweetest character in the show, maimed a guy without any hesitation. Like,
Right. Well, while we're on the topic of morally questionable actions, let's move a bit further into the episode where there's even more morally questionable actions. Ironwood comes back to his office wounded. His arm is in a splint. He's for some reason carrying Watts's case, and he sees a single black chess piece. With that,
Nice.
he immediately calls everyone back to protect the maiden, because this
and tells Winter to go kill Freya, or do something to claim the
Yes.
Winter Maiden's powers, which was Cinder's plan, of course. She was
Yes.
luring out Winter to show her where the maiden is.
Hey, yo, bitch, sorry, the electricity bill's a bit high. We gotta unplug the life support.
Yikes.
God, Cinder. Oh,
People
my
give
God.
Cinder absolutely no credit, but both in volume
She deserves
2.
no credit, Ted.
Let's be
I know
nice.
this is another smart move. After volume 3, she was the one in charge doing all of the planning and plotting, and now again she made another smart move.
She did, but at the same time, I gotta say it is taking advantage of someone else's work. And while that's definitely commendable,
I mean, that's her to a T, though, as well.
right?
Well, that's smart. I mean, that is smart.
It is.
yeah.
I'm just saying it's not all her. I have no idea what she could do without Watts and Tyrion being there. But that's
Watson Tyrion didn't even know she was there. She
right.
She completely relied on their chaos.
Exactly my point. But I think that's a little bit of something for another day. Because of all this Cinder coming in, Ironwood no longer seems to be trusting. Not everyone, but he's certainly have a level of paranoia and distrust Team RWBY.
Right. I mean, it's the chess piece is very fitting because what kind of just happened is he thought he won. He thought he beat the opponent, and then all of a sudden this Black Queen gets set down check.
I hadn't thought about that.
Mm-hmm. And you
No, I'd
gotta,
say-
remember, we know that Cinder that Cinder isn't really working with Tyrion and all of that. But again, our characters don't, right? As far as they're
Right.
aware, they've been placed into another position of, if not checkmate, almost checkmate, right? It's pretty much guaranteed that their biggest enemy is just one more step ahead of them once more. Once again, they've been beaten. But
Right,
that's not
and-
quite the case, though, necessarily, right?
Yeah, as Ironwood said, this could all be their plan. Get everyone onto Mantle or Atlas, and then I don't know, maybe drop it or something.
Well, no, I mean, what I mean, though, is he thinks that's their plan, but that's not quite the case. That wasn't necessarily the plan, right?
Right.
That's just what he's coming up with now due to his paranoia.
It's not entirely paranoia.
Well,
Salem
yeah.
has been ahead of them the entire time. Salem has been one step ahead. She has outthought them.
Yes, but we're saying paranoia
Fear.
in that
Fear would probably be better of a word.
Yeah, his fear is starting to rule him, especially
And that was what Cinder wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so he goes and he starts to confront RWBY about. Sorry, dog just went by. He starts to confront RWBY about how Robin knew about the tower.
Mm-hmm. And we've got our let's see. Looks like the bees step up as traitors. Right?
They own up to that.
Yeah, and they make the argument that Robin was always on their side, and I wouldn't say that she was always on their side. She was more on the people of Mantle's side.
Well, in their mind, that is their side.
Yeah,
It's
we don't
them
really
against
know
Salem.
Well, yeah, no, that's politics, and let's not get into fictional politics that we have absolutely no knowledge about because Ruby lore is so jank. Um, that office scene is very powerful in my opinion
Oh,
because we
this is
saw
very
Ironwood
powerful.
last episode, last chapter. He's got that moment where he overcomes his fear. He tells all of Mantle, all of Atlas, while they're under siege, that yo, uh, big bad evil guy exists, or in this case, big bad evil gal exists. Here's who she is. Here's what she's done. Uh, Rise up. Let's do this together. Um, and then he's real strong. Oscar breaks the news to him. But he gets back up on his feet, and then all of a sudden, so I had that interpretation after last episode that Ironwood is back on his feet. This man is ready to go. Nothing's going to shake him anymore.
Mm-hmm.
This episode comes around, and oh boy, was I proven wrong, because just the mere threat of Salem entering Atlas airspace.
After giving everything, doing
Yeah.
he does everything right.
Yeah, just
here.
after him doing everything right, he's like, and Salem's like, BT Dubs, Watts and Tyrion weren't trying to do anything.
Right.
They were welcoming me. They weren't trying to harm you.
I think now is definitely a good time to move into Salem herself arriving through the seer.
Salem has been.
I thought we were on that topic. My bad.
No, not quite.
Yeah, it's a good enough transition. But no,
Salem has consistently been just so well written. She's been as intimidating as hell just throughout the entire series. She's amazing.
She is one of my favorite Dark Lords, and it's because of just the writing around her and the way she presents herself. She seems almost friendly, and she gets things through offering what people want. Here she offers, look, if you just surrender the relics and stuff, all these people they'll survive. I mean, yes, you're giving
you could take it further. You could make it more literal if she said something like, if you make me take them from you, I'll kill everyone in Atlas. But she doesn't even need to. That's just implied.
Yeah. It's very easily implied. I gotta say that also the other thing that I really enjoyed about the scene is Ironwood is literally backed into a corner.
Oh my
it's
God.
Not very subtle, but I love it.
No, that wasn't. No, it was extremely overt. He physically stumbled into the wall. Oh my God, that was just painful to watch.
But you still see the defiance there, which is also very nice.
Yeah.
Like you can see,
yes.
I will stop you. It's good. It's really well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, even for all his fear, Ironwood is still standing up to her. He immediately says that's not going to happen.
And Ruby comes in with the, we know you can't die, but we'll stop you anyways. Salem counters with, your mother.
I love the Silver Eyes scene, right? And I've talked, I guess people, a few people have already read a Reddit thread I posted up on the subreddit for it, but I loved it's very simple parallels, right? But they're simple parallels done so exceptionally well, like with seeing the same shot we saw in Volume 6 of Summer Rose, that ideal image that Ruby has of her, because Summer is her ideal image of hope, of love, of protection, right? She, that's how she views Summer, and that's how she uses Summer to help her achieve that activation of the Silver Eyes. And you see that, shot from Volume 6 where Summer's happy, and you see that shining setting sun with all those vibrant colors and that clear blue sky and that bright green grass contrasted with here where you see that sad, pensive looking Summer turning away from the camera, and that overcast dark sky with those gray clouds and that dead, dying, decaying grass. I love how well that was done. Like, I could talk about that for a long time. Like, to all of RWBY, and especially Lindsay for her VA work in that scene alone, like, extremely well done on your part with setting that up.
That was anything like supernatural, like a telepathic projection, or do you think that's just what Ruby was thinking? It's just to
Personally,
show.
yeah, I think it was just what she was thinking, and I think it's
Me
kind
too.
of that symbol of this is her, this is that ideal vision of hope and protection and things she cares about and loves and wants to protect, right? That's that symbol of it for her. That's what she uses to activate those silver eyes. And Summer is that, perfect image of all that for her, right? That person who she idealizes as holding those things more than anyone else.
Knowing
And I
what we
think
know about this
honestly,
still.
our minds are our own worst enemies. Like,
well, I think, that was Salem twisting and tainting that for Ruby, right? And that's why you see
yeah,
the
Yeah,
Silver Eyes
exactly.
trying to activate, but they're failing to because she can't focus on that anymore. Not in that
I think
one
it would
moment.
be awesome if, like, knowing what we know about the Silver Eyes and how they're activated, if Salem's like counter to them is literally just to talk to the person and get them in a headspace where they can't use the powers.
It's possible.
Yeah, and Salem is very good at that kind of thing.
Mm.
the silver eye machine broke. Please fix. Then we learn Ruby breaks down. We get the only sisterly bonding moment possible. I think we've gotten all this volume. Ruby crying in Yang's lap.
Right. So after
Yeah, it
this,
wasn't nice.
Salem goes with her ultimatum, and then it becomes everything's just so quiet. And I was gonna say this to the end, but I can't. I can't hold it. RWBY just fucking killed this scene, from the voice actors with Lindsay with all of RWBY and Barbara's Yang being outburst and Weiss almost crying and Ironwood being so himself and then as well as all the animators and everything that goes into all the stuff we see on screen, the writers, and finally Alex for the score. Holy shit. This is the most compelling scene we have had in a long time.
I'm sorry, did we invite Helena? Or
She's rubbed off on me, okay?
I can tell.
No, I loved Ironwood's stoicism in this scene. It was extremely well done, and even
Yes.
for all of the different people who work on RWBY for the animation scene, for lighting, all that stuff, for the character designs, all that, right? Like, I don't know all of them, and I can't sit here and list all of them because I don't know all of them, but still, yet to all of them, like, exceptionally well done with this scene.
Mm-hmm.
All of you did extremely great with it for everything, like exceptionally well done.
No, and then just things just after that quiet, peaceful. I wouldn't call it peaceful. It's just that tense silence. Things just go off the deep end.
Yes, Ironwood, he quickly forms what he sees as the last thing that he can do. That is to use the Relic of Creation to bring Atlas into the sky, high enough that the Grimm can't get it, and neither can Salem. Now, before we get into the morality of this, I really gotta say, because there have been some people that don't understand, this is a logical plan from the sense it won't kill everyone immediately. Ironwood made sure to say that the environmental systems will allow them to breathe up there. But that's just, I assume, through compressing the air to get everyone enough oxygen. Also, the Grimm cannot fly up there. We had
As
this
far as we
already.
know.
No, we know
That was established. Like, unless you think that everyone in Atlas is just a complete moron.
Well, I mean,
no, the
again,
Grimm can't fly up there.
We do know that Salem can change the Grimm, though, so there is potential for that.
Yes,
for that factor
she
to
has
change.
the possibility to get around this, but at the moment,
yeah.
but at the moment, Emily was
But
established
I
as
agree. Like,
being
as far
able
as
to
we
get
know, and
out
as
of the
far as the
Grimm's
characters
reach.
know, that's not a possibility as of right now. I do agree, right? Like, there's no
Yes.
point in calling Ironwood down on that one possibility that is very remote and may not be a thing.
Also, just going to put in the real world physics there. Wings rely on the atmosphere they're in to be thick enough to produce lift. Up that high, they don't do that. They don't do much of anything. So that is why that doesn't work. But let's get more into the moral quandary here, in that they are nowhere near done evacuating everyone, and there's going to be thousands of people dead if they do this plan.
I mean, this is
Damn, tough
essentially
loss. I mean,
this is a cut off the limb to save the body plan, with the limb having, you know, thousands and thousands of people on it.
Huh.
gosh,
That-
this reminds me of a scene in my favorite anime, Symphogear. Let's talk about that real quick. No, I won't burden you guys with that, but there is something that can be related. No, it's think of it like this. You have got a sure chance at survival, a less likely chance at survival, and an practically 0% chance of survival. You are a man in charge, a single man in charge. You have thousands of lives resting on your shoulders. All right? And you have a surefire way to keep most of them safe. What would you do? Like,
It's such a hard question.
yeah, and
It-
so that is
and-
that is the problem. Okay, and now add on the fact that you've just got, you know, the mother of all evil literally knocking on your doorstep. So, like,
It does just
I-
feel like a big leap to me to say that, like, oh, this is the only way. We haven't seen Salem, we haven't seen her army of Grimm, but we're jumping straight to abandon Mantle and flee.
Yeah, I'm glad
Absolutely
you're actually
not.
bringing that up, though, right? Like, you know, do you think Salem was bluffing in that moment? Because that has been something that
No.
a few people have brought up, myself included, that I think, right? Yeah, I've brought up the idea that maybe she was bluffing. Maybe she's not headed to Mantle at all, to Atlas at all. It is a
I
possibility.
did not consider the idea of a bluff.
Because, I mean, you do have to remember, like, the
Salem-
seers are her way of hearing and communicating
Yeah, no.
everything.
And it kind of does fit Salem's character. You know, she's done a lot of things underhandedly through a lot of deceit, deception,
Mhm.
and, you know, dividing and conquering. So, as far as we know, she's never really taken direct action herself.
I don't necessarily think she was bluffing completely, but I also think that if she had this unstoppable Grimm army that nobody could possibly defeat, she would have used it before now.
So, yeah, no.
Well,
But at the
she
same time,
did have
what
lots
if she
of Tyrion
wants
set up this.
Ironwood to raise Atlas all the way into the atmosphere, and she has these subspecies of Grimm that do live above the atmosphere, and no one on Remnant has ever encountered. And since no one on Remnant has ever encountered them, they're completely unprepared to deal with them. And since they're completely unprepared to deal with them, Atlas gets wrecked, leaving a clear path to the Staff of Creation. Hashtag get fucked Atlas. Hashtag mommy salami wins.
Possibly.
Possible.
I
A
need,
lot
a,
of things.
I, need
are
a drink, I need a drink of water. I said that all in one breath. Give me a moment.
Yeah, I do think, right, you know, the idea of a bluff is there, but then you have to, you know, question the idea of,
Well, if it's not,
well, yeah, not just that, but also the idea of the bluff being that, you know, then you kind of get into this weird idea of Salem being such a master manipulator and planner that she apparently somehow knew that that is the only course of action Ironwood would take, is to just say,
yes,
fuck off with
5D
Atlas.
chess.
Yeah, like, again, you know, the idea of 5D chess, like, it's a bit much to take in and kind of say, yeah, sure, that's possible. You know, even with someone who's immortal, it's kind of, I don't think you can read people that well.
I don't think she would figure, okay, he's definitely going to use the staff to fly
fuck
higher into the sky. Like, we don't even know that Salem knows what the relics do.
Mhm.
That's a good question.
it's again, it's one of those things that it's possible that it could be, but
I think it's more likely that she just said this, one, maybe in the hope that he would actually surrender, but two, to just drive a wedge between everybody, make everybody afraid.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I do kind of agree with the idea that she definitely heard the conversation that was going on. With the seer, I don't think there's any way that she couldn't have. Maybe it was very muffled and kind of like this, but she still definitely heard it,
I still gotta question why that bag was there, but whatever, I guess. I'm going to go with
I'm
plot.
curious why he carried
You
it.
could also, well, hold on. I mean, it has all of Watts's things in it, so honestly, one
it's
reason.
a last resort type thing.
All of his things being a grim seer. That's it.
I mean, Ironwood could have brought it to the office for the sake of like, all right, maybe his computer's in here. If we get his computer, maybe we can turn the heat back on in Mantle.
Well, whatever the case, can we kind of just talk about what Ruby does in this moment? She sends out this desperate call to everyone else of what Ironwood's doing and they gotta stop him. And also, before we get into this, to the people that can't take Ruby seriously because of how Lindsay voices her, I present my counter argument.
No, she did good. Again, like I repeat, she did amazing with this scene, all of it.
Right, anyways. Whiskey, you had something here?
Oh yeah, no, she just fucking splits like a cell and goes around Ironwood's desk and grabs a scroll or something, rings up John. John's like, "Hey, yo, Oscar." Ruby's like, "Shut up, we have bigger problems."
Even Ruby brushes him off.
Fuck your farm boy. Mantle's about to die.
I mean, according to
You
some
call
people,
your
that's
friend
what
with
they
a-
think Ruby wants to do.
I mean, no, there's just so much going on now. And
It's so good.
You call your friend to tell them there's a problem, and they just unload a whole other mess of problems on you.
And then hang up.
You've got Crow and Robin sitting in the back of a prison transport. They get the news. Prisoners starts looking real giddy like. Oh no.
Oh yeah, that one, I think it's going to be a talk, a battle of just talking and seeing what Clover does. I think part of it is Tyrion's going to try and manipulate it to get them to fight each other, but at some point they just say, "Hey,
I'm sorry, but I'm
Clover,
like
look, it's
90%
Tyrion trying to
sure.
convince you to be against us. Just think about that for a second."
I am nearly 100% sure Clover's loyalty is with Ironwood. I'm sorry. I don't see why people are.
I mean, either way, right? Pay attention to the fact that once again Tyrion is being prisoner transported with very little protection.
Well,
Yeah,
his protection are the three people that just kicked his ass.
Well, what if he
the
gets
past
rescued
repeats
by
itself once
Grimm?
more.
Yeah.
Fair.
So. Yeah.
All right, yeah.
Just something to take into account, an idea. I don't think that's the way it could go, but never know.
What do you think happened to Oscar?
Neo.
Oscar got napped.
You thought he was going to be kidnapped in Volume 6, but no, it's Volume 7 where it happens.
You thought it was me, Volume 6, but it was actually I, Volume 7.
Or maybe he just comes back with a new outfit, totally fine.
I've got my
Hey
winter
guys, I
outfit
made
now,
another
guys.
Oscar comes back with Stockholm Syndrome. Hey guys, so it turns out I really like Neapolitan ice cream.
Oh boy.
No, what I really
was
think
born.
here is it's going to be Juniper going to find him and get something, and Oscar somewhere during this finds his semblance.
I need to think about it. Neo did come after him. He's never met Neo. And as far as anybody else knows, Neo's dead. So he's just got this 3-color mute girl coming after him, and he has no context.
I mean, unless Ozpin took note of Neo and remembers her. So.
Maybe.
And that's the other possibility where Ozpin gets off his ass and starts to actually help.
Well, I mean, then you still have the context of why is this criminal from Vale all the way here after me? What the hell? I didn't kill that guy who was your mentor or whatever.
Hmm.
No, it's sort of on the same ridiculous level of Hazel being upset with Oscar because Ozpin, but that's just a whole other can of worms.
I'll argue with you on that one,
Yes.
but different discussion. Either
Yeah,
way,
different
like
discussion.
it's not too out of the norm, right? It works for what it is. Again, Neo is working with Cinder after all.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
and we know Cinder's a vindictive person. All right,
let's
Neo
wrap
as
this
well.
up with RWBY versus the Aesops. It's after
Gonna
the
happen.
plan, it's Ironwood's like, okay, I understand what you're doing, guys, but we are doing what's right, and we need to stop you from stopping us. So he walks out of the room and lets the Aesops go and fight. Personally, I think this is going to be a fight of skill versus teamwork, because the Aesops, they've consistently said that they aren't really friends.
Although they do have good teamwork, it's not like they all fight individually. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
Right, but
there's
they don't have the
definitely
same.
going to be. This is definitely going to be. Okay, no. So we saw, God, was it episode 3? I think.
Yes.
Where we first saw the Aesops fights. No, so the Aesops were shown to be very coordinated, and I made a point about as soon as they were just able to call each other's names out, and they knew immediately what they wanted.
Yes, they're.
Whereas opposed to Team RWBY, the last time we saw any coordinated effort from them was like in Volume 2, and they still had with the tag names or something. But they've
I
improved a
would
lot since
disagree
then.
on the with that because on Argus Limited to defeat that Sphinx, they were pretty coordinated.
Argus Limited just completely slipped my mind. Jelo, you're right.
The idea.
Please defer to my Discord name.
Right.
I think the idea that Jill is trying to get across a bit more is, remember, Aesop specifically pointed out, we were picked because of how well our semblances and abilities worked off one another. We're not exactly a team.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah,
Team RWBY
maybe not
grew
teamwork
up
is the best thing,
into a
but they
degree
don't
as
have.
a team, right? So
Yeah,
it's
they don't have the
definitely
same bond.
that's the difference I think he's trying to get across, right?
Mm.
This is
And
going to
Levels
be
of
truly a
trust,
tough
I
fight, though.
suppose.
I mean, this
yeah.
is not a thing that RWBY can just blow through. And all
No.
I can say is right now, I
Hopefully
am
so.
hoping that a lightning bolt is going to save us from Volume 7, Episode 11.
So,
I mean,
if
12.
that's gravity, what is the lightning bolt?
I don't really have anything
Nora?
else to say about this episode.
It was amazing. It was one of the best in the entire series.
I definitely
It
agree
was.
with that. There was just so much.
From action to writing to production, this is gonna go down as one of the best episodes that they have made.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Kirby had been, touting on Twitter that y'all are not ready for episodes. If y'all thought 11 was crazy, y'all aren't ready for 12 and 13. So, I'm a little spooked.
It's worth asking, because this has been something that's going around. It's a final question. Do you think we're going to do any more splitting up? Because it has been something that's been going around here lately, due to our current.
Not long term. Maybe like briefly, for an episode or two, but not long term.
Any thoughts?
Yeah, I
you
don't
have
think
on
they're gonna start
who
any of
might split
that.
up?
I mean,
Because-
maybe they've learned and can pull that off, but at the same time, I'm
Maybe
still
might go
wary.
off and do some partner stuff, but
Who do you think might end up splitting off?
I mean, Weiss and RWBY, Blake and Yang, obviously, like as partners. I mean, there might be some distrust, some levels of distrust after Blake and Yang went behind everyone's back and kind of, spilled the beans about the communication tower. Yeah. Can we get some beans in the chat, please?
So my thought was we might see a bit more of a different kind of split of our main crew with our kind of side crew, if you will, in terms of we'll see maybe
Yeah, if anything, I'd say that.
RWBY will be on Mantle or Atlas and Junior will be on Mantle or Atlas. One of the two, take which will
I
you
see what you're
will
trying to
where
say.
you will, right?
Yeah, I
If
think
we
that's
get
the
any
most.
kind of split, that's what I might expect.
At the moment, that's the most logical.
Do you think this split might be something that goes into Volume 8 and we do see Atlas fuck off?
It could be. I could get
And
behind an A and a B plot.
Well, I mean, yeah, kind of. We go into Volume 8 with this idea of Atlas and Mantle separated, and Salem's potentially still coming. So what do we do? Like,
No, I think they're going to mostly resolve this situation by the end of the volume. I mean, resolve in the sense that there will be a natural breaking point. It's not just going to be a giant cliffhanger that we're just holding on for
Oh
months.
no, there's gonna
RWBY's
be
never
like-
done that before.
there's gonna be a cliffhanger at the end of the season.
they've come
There's
close.
There's going to be something, but I don't think it's going to be a 1,000,000-foot drop. It's more,
Yeah.
it's more less than that.
Fair enough.
Well, alrighty then. I think that is everything that we have to say about this episode. I'm pretty sure everyone's really excited to see the next one. So, with that,
Which
this has
literally
been
just came out
Atlas
5 minutes
Bowl.
ago.
Yeah, no, I just got a notification on my phone for it.
If you're
Yep,
gonna date the
let's
video,
go
then
in-
I'm gonna really date the video.
Yes, you are. This has been Atlas
5
Bowl.
a.m. on 21st.
God damn it.
2020.
Why? Just go.
This has been Atlas Bowl. I've been Awesome Jelo, and I have had these very interrupting people.
Until next time, take care.
I
Are we